From the twisted realm of science and the darkest pits of reason comes chilling tales of godlessness. Bear witness to the unfathomable terror that is the Good Atheist.
Now today we have a celebratory podcast. It's a bit of patting ourselves on the back for being such a success. We now have registering in under 10 podcasts, 10,000 listens, which is not a small amount for such a relatively unknown podcast.
And on a related note, my mother found out about this, and I am now excommunicated from my family.
Well, phenomenal. That's great news. Yep. All right, today we're going to deal with some funny things that I found in the news today. There's stuff that I just want to talk about because I think that they're either hilarious or just over the top. All right, first in the news, non-halal medical practice. A small number of Muslim students in Great Britain are refusing to treat patients on alcohol or sex-related ailments, according to an article in the Sunday Times. Some have even refused to treat the members of the opposite sex, claiming that it offends their religious beliefs. There have also been reports of some of the pharmacies are refusing to provide birth control. Now, one of the apologetics, Dr. Abdul Majid Khatmi, one of the Islamic Medical Association, said that to learn about alcohol, sexually transmitted disease, abortion, it gives us more evidence to campaign against it. There is a difference between learning and practicing it. It's obligatory for Muslim doctors to learn everything there is to know. The Prophet said, learn about witchcraft, but don't practice it. Well, I just want to know, what does he call in witchcraft here?
Well, I don't know, maybe alcoholism or gonorrhea?
Gonorrhea is the tool of the devil.
Let me tell you, I practiced gonorrhea once. It was painful.
It was painful, but thanks to medical science.
Thank God for that. Yeah, no, it's true.
Well, there's not all the sexually transmitted diseases are curable.
Mm-hmm.
You'd be intimately aware of this.
Yes. Now, here's the deal on this one here. This story. This is what was this? This is in the UK, right?
This is in the UK, yes.
This is just an extension of what's going on with evangelicals down in the South.
Yes, exactly. Well, particularly with the whole pharmacies not providing birth control thing. That's a huge thing in the States.
Well, basically the way it typically works is if you're a doctor, you're generally considered to be educated enough not to be a moron.
But that sounds objective,
but
it's fair.
It's at the pharmacy level where you get all these yahoos that are like, I ain't giving you birth control because birth control's a sin.
The morning after pill is the pill of the demon devil.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Now it is in Great Britain. There is a fairly substantial Muslim population, so I mean it's not difficult to imagine that some would say, well, you know what, treating women offends my religious beliefs. I guess they got. Maybe they're afraid of being tempted or something like that.
Well, it goes. I mean, it's the standard. It's the standard Muslim anti-woman position. And again, I'm not sure whether or not
extremist Muslim.
Exactly. This is the thing. Is that obviously these aren't all Muslim doctors, and you've got tons and tons of people who are Muslims who are practicing doctors and have no problem at all being gynecologists or analologists. What's a butt doctor? Proctologist.
Proctologist, yeah.
Exactly.
I was going to say rectologist.
I think that's the study of rectangles. If somebody has a rectangular rectum, that's a bad news.
Oh my God, that would explain so much. When I went over and I started asking for a rectologist, he had gentle hands, though. Gentle hands. Well, what's actually also quite disturbing about the article was that there were a few students that were commenting on their fellow students that were refusing to take exams or
perform
some of the functions because you have to do live stuff. You have to go to the hospital and treat people and diagnose them and so on and so forth to pass.
Yeah.
And she was mentioning one of the girls was mentioning this one gentleman who was Muslim, and he had become more and more extremist as time went on, and she kind of saw it in his behavior and stuff like that. And finally, I mean, it was like, I think it was his last exam before he would pass to be a doctor, and he refused to do it because the woman, the patient, was a female, and he failed. And she's just like, wow, what a waste of 4 years, what a waste of a brain, what a waste of talent.
And the thing about it is, he's gonna go and take from this experience the fact that the West is evil and women caused him to fail his doctor's exam. This is exactly the kind of thing that he's going to take from that. And this is, I guess, the problem with certain Muslim beliefs is that they create issues with Muslims integrating into societies, and they cause Muslim people to basically probably feel pretty outcast and pretty prosecuted.
Well, here's the funny thing, though, and this is the thing that we don't really generally understand. You know the bombings that happened in the UK. The
I don't care about anything that is not
UK.
happening in North America.
All right. Well, there was a bombing there, if you remember, and what most people don't realize is they think that it was Muslims attacking the West. And really, the neighborhoods that were attacked were predominantly Muslim neighborhoods. You see, there's a movement between extremists and moderates, and almost kind of like a war happening inside their own beliefs. Because you have the moderates who are like, no, we want to integrate ourselves within Western society. We, enjoy its values and so on and so forth, and we don't see a conflict. With the fundamentalists who say there is an absolute conflict. You are living with infidels. You yourself are an apostate for living among them, and that generates quite a bit of conflict.
I can understand the idea behind that is basically, you should know better. As far as the Westerners, they consider us lost causes, and they're just
absolutely. We're either eventually going to convert at some point, or all burn in hell. So, well, thanks. I mean, if that makes them leave me alone, all the better.
I mean, the thing that keeps on catching me, the more I look into extremist Muslim activities, and the more it reminds me of a lot of evangelical hardcore Christian lines. Like, I see lots of parallels between them. The only difference is that basically what you've got in the Middle East is you've got societies that have been ruled by these religions for a really long time with no distancing between church and state. So you have an environment where the church is able to get away with a lot more, and therefore it breeds more of the same thing. Well, in the West, I'm sure if evangelicals had their way, and you've seen just a tiny little bit of the result of that due to the recent administration in America, it would be relatively the same thing.
I'm glad that we haven't actually heard any stories about evangelical doctors that refuse to treat patients that had sexually transmitted diseases.
I'm sure they're out there. I'm quite sure that they're out there.
There has to be. I mean, it just simply because you're a fundamentalist doesn't mean you're not educated. In fact, I mean that's a common fallacy because all the guys who crashed those planes in the Twin Towers, they were all well-educated men. They were college educated. So it's not as though you have to be crazy, stupid. Just to be plain crazy.
Agreed.
All right, let's move on to the other piece of news. This one is this one I'm not even sure that just mentioning this is actually probably should be censored.
PG-13.
This is PG-13. This is priestly kink. This is the source is the Smoking Gun. Reverend Gary Aldridge of Alabama, a former colleague of the controversial and now deceased Jerry Falwell, is accused of being a hypocrite on certain sexual issues. Well, he would be if not for the fact that poor Mr. Aldridge was found dead in his home, victim of apparent autoerotic asphyxiation. Mr. Aldridge was found wearing 2 wetsuits, rubberized underwears and glove, a head mask with an opening in the eyes and the mouth, often called a gimp mask, and also a dildo covered by a condom inside of his anus.
Well, at least he believes in safe sex.
I have to say he believes in safe sex or he believed that it's just easier to clean.
Or he did something really dirty with that dildo in the past.
Oh, I don't even want to know. What was funny about this,
other than the fact
that this guy everything
died.
About it,
was
that he was hogtied.
He's dead.
Was that he was hogtied. Apparently, he tied himself all by his lonesome. He managed to somehow, I don't even know, but the medical examiner, I read the case, there was no evidence of foul play, no evidence that anyone other than himself was in the room, so apparently he was doing all of this, all by his lonesome, and I don't know, how do you hogtie yourself is my first question.
There's lots and lots of cases where basically the coroner has determined that something that obviously wasn't a suicide was a suicide.
Okay, so you're saying it could be wrong.
Absolutely. And I mean, politics goes throughout this entire case, and you'd be foolish not to think that there's probably somebody inside. And this might be a little bit conspiracy based. I didn't look this far into it, but I mean, it's been known in cases like this where things are a little bit shady that that, stuff was not so much covered up. It's just that the initial findings were never questioned and no one went further into it. Do you think this guy's family wants this whole thing ripped apart and looked further into? If the initial conclusion of no foul play is not put forward by anyone in the police department, then the coroner's not going to look into that idea. Unless it's obvious.
No, that doesn't... Okay, but in the case of someone being hogtied, number one, that's the first thing they're going to look at, being like, this is weird. It's like, remember that scene in Loaded Weapon, where all of a sudden it's like, the coroner thinks it's suicide, and it's like, she's got a crazy face on her. It's like, must have caught herself by surprise, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're gonna tie yourself by surprise, be like, well, he hogtied himself and then shoved a dildo up his ass. I'm just saying.
Hey, to be fair, he could have shoved the dildo up his ass and then hogtied himself. You gotta think,
that's exactly what I'm saying.
You gotta
you're
think
just
these things through. But
well,
you agree. There's something kind of suspicious about this.
There is something suspicious.
This is beyond the whole atheist angle, by the way, and we apologize for that. But we really have to kind of examine the surrounding. This is a big
the
ball
mechanics of hog tying / autoerotic asphyxiation is a hobby of mine. Mm-hmm. The understanding and really dissecting this.
Yeah, but I mean, there's tons and tons of cases where people have autoerotically asphyxiated themselves, where everybody pretty much is in agreement that they weren't alone when they did it. But it always turns out that the people just make the assumption, and the family is just perfectly okay with just trying to let this thing die, and they don't care what went on,
I gotta tell you, that's a really uncomfortable funeral. Be like, how did he die? Well, here's an artist's rendition.
Well, here's the funny thing about this is that up to the point where they talked about the dildo up the ass, I was thinking that at first he sent me the link and I was reading, I was like, wow, yes, he's ultra-conservative Christian, but, I mean, does that really mean you're not allowed to be a little bit kinky? But, of course, as soon as there was the dildo up the ass, that's shades of homosexuality, and all of a sudden you realize, oh, there you go, there's the ironic...
That twist.
Yeah,
it's the twist. It's the twist. It's the juicy twist.
Mm-hmm.
It's the juicy, highly lubricated twist.
Yeah.
Okay, well, my whole point was, even beyond that, look, no conservative is ever going to tell you, particularly a reverend, that it's fine to put 2 wetsuits on and a crazy git mask for whatever absurd sexual fantasies you have. These conservative guys are pretty much missionary, and once a year you get to do a doggy style kind of stuff.
It all just falls under the general principle that masturbation is wrong. But is masturbation any more or less wrong?
No, but
wearing rubber suits?
Do you understand why masturbation is wrong? And this is also the reason why they're so conservative about sex, is that if you enjoy sex too much, it takes away your pleasure from God. Like, the whole masturbation is wrong, and the whole movement to try to ban it, which is probably the most, lost cause you've ever heard, was really initiated by, like, the health nuts back in, like, the 20s or 30s, like Dr. Kellogg,
Mm-hmm.
those kinds of guys. They were absolutely obsessed with masturbation. They're like, no, it takes away from your love of God. If you let young boys do it, they'll play with themselves all day and not pray to a virgin.
Well, they were right. I'm sorry, they were right. They were absolutely
You know
right.
what? I think that if I dissect all of my memories of when I was young, I think they're pretty much, my hand on my penis. I think that's pretty much it.
I feel bad for my mom having to do all my laundry.
Your crusty laundry?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm amazed that it came out of the hamper and it just wasn't in one big piece.
Oh, my goodness. You disgust me, sir.
Indeed.
Now, on a similar topic of sexual, quote-unquote misconduct, we have our third piece of news that we're going to talk about today. And it was one that I entitled, "It Was Only Research, I Swear." This is from CNN.com. A Vatican official, Monsignor Tommaso Senicchio.
Can I say that first?
Yeah, okay.
Tommaso Senicchio
has been suspended after being caught on a hidden camera making advance at a young man. He is insisting, however, that he is not gay and was doing it only for research. Mr. Senicchio affirms we're nice about it. Stencio, sorry, affirms that he was so distraught over the sin of homosexuality that he took it upon himself to understand more about the seedy world of man-on-man action. He claims now of being a victim of his honest efforts. All right, well, Mr. Senicchio, I have a bit of a piece of advice. If you happen to know English and happen to fall on the site and you know,
Well, you know,
merely
I mean, if he's
listen to my
looking
podcast.
if he's looking into homosexuality, maybe he's looking into not believing in God as well.
The sin of atheism would definitely.
Yeah.
Although I'm sure he's going to kind of lay low for a little while. I got news for you. You know, when you try to do research, I mean, do you keep all your research quiet? Where you were thinking that you were going to write a tell-all book that was going to really blow everything out of the water, but only you needed to know. It's like those guys who get caught with child pornography on their computer and be like,
yeah.
I was doing research. Be like, do you realize you are A, not a journalist, and B, you don't have any journalistic credentials, you didn't tell anyone, you've been doing research for 3 years now? What you come up with that is so good?
Yeah. The only question that I have, I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that this guy is guilty.
Well, guilty of what? I mean,
not guilty, but I mean, like, the fact that he's saying, "Oh, I was only bullshit." But here's the question: the question is, does he actually, on like a conscious level, believe what he is saying, or is he in such a state of denial that he really thinks that what he's saying is true? I mean, there's so many guys, you hear so many cases about closet homosexuals, especially people who are extremely devout and extremely religious, being tortured by their urges and basically, trying to learn more about it and trying to learn how to stop it and doing these things under the pretenses, on a conscious level, to never allow themselves to actually think, uh-oh, I'm gay.
Well, I like when they're saying that he affirms he's not gay and that he's heterosexual. However, he is celibate due to his vows. I'm like, then you're non-sexual, buddy.
Well, it's
really
just funny that they have to say,
affirm you're heterosexual but not having sex. Nice.
It's like, I don't like men. I like women, but I don't touch women either.
Yay.
It's complete. I mean,
hypocrisy?
one goes after the other. If you're supposed to be non-sexual, then what does it matter what your sexuality was before becoming celibate?
So the problem here is the Holy Ghost. You see, because he can hear your thoughts, he can hear everything that's going on.
What a voyeur.
Oh, he's such a... Not only that, but I mean, I got to keep myself in check all the time. I mean, do these guys know how the brain operates? This thing's a messed up piece of machinery. It likes to just fantasize about crazy, horrible stuff.
Maybe you can tell me this. I heard this thing. Someone was talking about this. I don't know if it's true. The idea that you can't not think of something. If you tell yourself, don't think of this, you've already thought of it.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if that's necessarily true, because I do know that there's a particular type of meditation in Buddhism where the whole point of it is to try to get to 10, although you'll understand what I mean by this, without actually thinking about anything. Now, for those experts out there, you wouldn't actually ever know you reached 10 because your mind would be completely and utterly void, which is an interesting exercise, and I've given it a shot. I've gotten to 2. And then just random things happen.
There's descriptions of the steps of
No, they just say count to 10. And like really the exercise begins of you only counting to 10 and thinking about nothing absolutely, except for perhaps, while you're just, saying the numbers through rote memorization.
Yeah.
Eventually, you're not supposed to need to count anymore. You can just empty your mind of everything. But I can only get to 2 before, I don't know, something pops in my mind of saying, hey, I wonder what color this thing is, or just another random stupid thought popping in my head.
I've got ADD, so I don't even think I'd make it to 1.
In 1 nanosecond.
Yeah.
I do think, though, that there's definitely some people that are just better at, say, controlling their thoughts, right? Because you have different levels of thought. You have those thoughts which just are basically daydreaming, right? Mm-hmm. You're just standing around, and all of a sudden you're thinking, wow, what would it be like if I'm famous, or I'm wondering what this person is doing, and it's not even a thought, it's just coming in, it's just raw input.
Yeah.
Then there's the kinds of thoughts where you're actively controlling it, saying like, okay, well, I need to figure this out, or I need to plan the size of my house, and these are controlled thoughts. So definitely there are some people that have more controlled thoughts than others, and I'm sure that there are plenty of airheads out there that don't actually have any controlled thoughts, like being like, oh my God, and maybe this is where your ADD comes from, buddy. Not from a medical condition, but rather from the fact that you're not controlling your thoughts enough. Is that a possibility, buddy?
Yeah, I could say that.
It's a plastic bag.
Wow, that's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
Well, what I going back to his claim of not being homosexual, I'm kind of curious as to what he thought his research would really tell him by trying to seduce young men over to him.
And spending lots of time in gay chat rooms and everything else like this.
Yeah.
And it goes back to the idea that if it was really researched and he was really looking into it, he probably would have told somebody about it. And, you know, if he was actually smart about it, he would have done that anyways, because then he would have gotten away with it. And the only explanation that I can have for him being so clumsy about this whole thing is the fact that even he didn't really know what he was doing, and he was basically stumbling around in his own denial. And
oh yeah, absolutely. I think that's really. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. You ever have one of those things where you're making yourself excuses to do something?
Mm-hmm.
What's an example? Like, for instance, you want to go out and you want to get late, so you say, "Oh, I'm just going to go out with some friends," and that's really it. But the entire time, the whole purpose is to try to meet girls and have sex with them.
I thought only girls did that. Guys are like, "I'm going to go out."
No. I know plenty of guys that are also in denial about their particular needs. I won't name names.
That's sad. What, is somebody I know?
No.
Oh, okay.
Maybe. That's the whole
individual.
not naming names thing. But look, I mean, I wouldn't blame those kinds of guys anyways, because sure, you got one side of the spectrum which is, oh, guys are supposed to go out and they're supposed to be like, yeah, I'm gonna get laid. But there's also this other, equally powerful side that says, no, you must wait and find the right person and then marry them and then kiss them and then have a wonderful fantasy. So some people buy into this. People buy into this. So yeah, I mean, like this particular priest man was a little in denial and thinking, I will do research. Beautiful research that makes me so hard.
This is the sad thing about it. Sure, we laugh about it, but this guy's life. This is a big joke to us.
Yeah.
But this is his life, and his life is pretty much
his
ruined.
profession.
I mean, if you think that the people over in Rome are any less credulous than we are regarding this specific topic,
well, they got to cramp down pretty hard on that, because also what's really funny about the church is that they confuse homosexuality with pedophilia. They seem to think that these two things are somehow related. Yeah, because every homosexual I know just loves to touch 8-year-old boys. Yeah,
well,
that's really.
They do have the magazines, Jacob. They do have the magazine. How do you explain that?
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
They're so young and smooth. I picked one up once to research it, and it was so wrong.
Woo!
Things like that shouldn't be allowed to be.
That's the police.
Things like that shouldn't be allowed to be sold. They just make you think I'm pure thoughts. That's all I'm saying.
Look, you know what? You say his life is ruined. I say the kind of crummy aspect of his life is are ruined. Sure, he's going to get kicked out of the Vatican. So what? Maybe he can find a job being a DJ at a gay club in Rome.
Maybe he can.
That's a pretty good life for him.
Accept who he really is and be able to come to terms with it. Because you got to figure. This is the kind of stuff that makes people kill themselves.
Yeah, no, seriously, he does.
Perhaps not by hog-tying themselves and sticking a dildo up their ass. But
that wasn't suicide. That was for fun. Dummy.
But dead,
God, you're stupid.
But dead nonetheless.
Yeah, dead. Well, the result is the same, really.
Exactly. So maybe this is a great thing. But right now, sure, we're laughing about it, but I feel kind of bad for him.
I feel bad for the guy. I could tell from his immaculate haircut that he must have been a homosexual.
But this is the thing. When I saw the picture on CNN.com, my gaydar went off like a dinner bell. Ding, 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 ding.
It was a cowbell. It was how loud it was. I'm just like, yes, he's wearing thongs underneath those robes.
Yeah. Well, now you're associating homosexuality with cross-dressing.
No. I'm just saying thongs is not cross-dressing. They have male thongs, fool.
Oh, banana hammocks. Is that the technical name for them?
What, banana hammock is the technical term? Yes, thong is the technical term.
I thought if a guy wore a thong, it was a female thong, like just a standard thong. And I always wondered, that seemed like it would be really painful. It would be like,
Well, it's not designed
everything's divided up like an Atari symbol. It just doesn't seem nice.
I don't think it would be. I don't think it would fit everything. No. There would be some looseness there that would be taken care of.
It would not be good.
Now, obviously, we're being a little bit silly today. Like I said, this is a bit of a celebration for us. Show's getting popular and people are really appreciating it.
So we've decided to drive off a lot of you people by showing you how messed up we are in our heads.
You're the one with child porn on your computer. Oh,
wow.
To all you police officers, if you'd like to send me an email and you're curious about what's going on and you'd like to be a hero. No, I'm just joking.
Well, here's a question.
We
talk about morality on this show a lot, and it doesn't have to do specifically with God. Would
No.
we ever discuss the issue of the idea of saying this is a big issue with MySpace and YouTube and just basically the media coming up where kids are having cell phones and cameras and stuff like that. What's your take on, like, say, 15-year-olds filming themselves having sex, and then what happens when that video is found? Because you're having lots of issues, say, with 14, 15-year-old girls sending naked pictures of themselves all over the hizzy.
Right.
So what do you do about that?
Well,
okay, we don't have to answer that.
No. You know what? We have some time, and you know what? This is a show.
This is the disgusting show. We're gonna pack every
absolutely.
single bit of dirty, raunchy, homosexual, pedophilic aspect of everything into this show because it's research. It's research for us. It's research
really curious. I'm really curious.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you a story about sort of like out of my own experiences with online dating.
Okay.
Basically, I was online dating, and there was this woman who responded to an email. Now, the email said that she was 18.
Yeah.
All right. Now, obviously, that's out of my age range. I should know better, but what can I say? I'm a man. Anyways, so later we're talking, and she confesses the fact that she is not actually 18, and she lied on her Lavalife account, because you can't make a Lavalife account obviously unless you're 18.
I've fallen for that too.
Now exactly. Now she said this while in a conversation on a webcam where it could be started construed as somewhat lewd. Now, if somebody would have walked in and started asking a lot of uncomfortable questions, obviously I would have sounded like a damn liar of saying, no, she didn't. She told me she was 18.
You would have sounded like Stencio.
What I'm trying to say with this highly incriminating story is the fact that...
How old was she?
She was 16.
Okay.
No, it's not criminal, at least not in this country. We're a little bit more open about the idea that girls can lie about their age.
What about the fact that girls are devils?
Devils. Well, she was an object of temptation. Right? No, but I think in this example, or in the example that you were giving, where underage youths are posting videos of themselves, like, what do you do about it? The problem is that really, I mean, I just think that people shouldn't really be posting videos of themselves in general. I mean, what are you thinking? But at that point, if I'm viewing it, am I technically viewing child pornography? I mean, obviously, I'm not willing to take that chance and do the Stencio research here.
Yeah.
But I do think that when it's posted on something like that, you're inevitably going to find some filth that you really shouldn't see, because as great a tool as the internet is, it is a cesspool of all of the things that are debaucherous about us. Don't you think so?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, I think that I don't want to forgive anybody for watching these videos at length, but I do think that it's going to be unavoidable that you're going to see something or read something or hear something that could possibly incriminate you, but not quite at the level of Stencio. So my suggestion is don't do the research about it. Just when you see it, just clear your cache, delete your history, and and it's probably a good idea to report on that stuff, because in any case, those kids should know better. They should just be playing. I don't know what the 15-year-olds play nowadays.
Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Hide the sausage. Other than that, Yu-Gi-Oh or Digimon.
They're all doing meth and having sex. They're not playing games no more.
No, I don't remember any of this stuff when I was 16. I was just still playing Dungeons and Dragons, for God's sakes.
Yeah, I know. Me too. I failed a savings throw versus cool.
I failed a saving throw versus getting laid.
No, actually, I had sex with a 15-year-old once. I was 16 at the time, but
through Dungeons and Dragons?
No.
See, that would have been a good story.
Yeah,
but
sorry.
now you just made it some kind of sick boasting.
I just wanted.
You encouraged their bad behavior, buddy. Did you make a video too?
It was the punchline. Bam!
Wow,
anyway.
What a punchline! All right, one last thing that I want to say. I do want to thank everybody out there that's been listening to the show and writing us comments. And like I said, I mean, I'm always really delightfully surprised at the fact that people are really taking an interest, and we try to give you guys as a good a production as we possibly can. I think that you could probably just hear it in the sound quality compared to some of our competitors. Guys, invest. And if you also have your own podcast, here's my suggestion to you: spend $150 minimum on a good mic. What's so difficult to understand about that?
That's it.
That is it. That's all you need. A nice mic and just two guys that
And a dumb
are
friend who
irreverent.
doesn't know much about anything.
No, you're not. You know what? Today you were very insightful. I think that everyone will come back today with newfound respect for you.
Well, he had sex with a 15-year-old. He must be okay.
Okay, they will lose all respect for you. You had to ruin it right at the end. Punchline. No way.
Bam!
That was your destruction.
Bam!
All right, for all of those guys that we were making fun of, the poor Vatican guy,
The dead guy.
the dead guy, and all of those failed doctors, I just want to encourage you to get a little less crazy, except for the dead guy, and yeah, have yourself a phenomenal atheist day.